Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Kecko, and today's episode is part 2 with my chat with the head coach of Vipers FC, Majid Ibrahim. We get to talk about the rest of his coaching career as well as his time at Vipers FC, which includes one of the greatest grand finals I've seen in local football in a very, very long time, and was one of the best days, not only for the neutral football fan, but also for the coach, Majid Ibrahim. We get to talk all about that big day, that one promotion to the State League 1, and also the first piece of silverware in the Federation for the club. But before we do that, make sure you go back and listen to part 1 if you haven't yet. If you have, here's a quick refresher.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed my time at Olympic. I loved it. I still it still feels like my club in a sense when you play for a long period and you still have a lot of friends from there. So
one of my recent guests, Simon Catanzaro, played there as well. At the same time, you were in the same squad together. He had a little bit of a different experience. He had a phone call while he was working at Just Jeans in Sydney. Did you ever get wine and dine to come to the club, or was it just a cheeseburger or something like that?
No, it was no. They looked after me really well, Olympic, but definitely nothing like Simon. I did hear the podcast, and it was interesting to hear it because basically I'd been at Olympic playing in the first team for about 3 or 4 years consistently, and 04 was actually my last year at Olympic, and that was the year where Simon was flying in, etc. And it was an exciting time to be at Olympic.
Learn something different being as an assistant than what you did previously as the head coach.
That period with Rob Matosevic, again, that's the best thing that could have happened for me because he was an unbelievable coach. He was super organised. He was really clear as to how he wanted his team to play, even his leadership for the players and coaches. So, again, that probably the best thing that could have happened to me is to learn under someone like that. And I consider Rob now as a bit of a mentor. So even throughout this season and last season, I'm constantly calling him and picking his brain. And
You've done a lot of coaching in the NPL, even as an assistant coach. You're at the top level, so you could potentially try and go for a job in that area. But what made you go to State League 2? And when this opportunity came with Vipers, a fairly new team, only 5 years or so at the time in the Federation, what made you go to them?
So in the brief period where I wasn't coaching, I played very socially in the Vipers Collegiate with a whole group of friends from my church community and that. So I kind of was like, I saw how Vipers operated because I was there, I was training at the grounds, I was already dealing a little bit with some of the committee in terms of running the collegiate team. So I kind of already knew the people, so that's probably a start. And then the other thing that, to be honest, that really, I think the main reason I came to Vipers was when they did say they were interested for me to coach, we got together, had an interview, and it was Marcello Karuska, it was Nectarius Galanopoulos, who are real football people. There was the president and there was Frank, and just from the interview, I kind of got a sense of it's an ambitious club. They're setting the foundations, the right way, and the project of growing as a club and growing as a coach really, really appealed to me. I kind of and I think that's kind of that appealed to Marcello, and that's why he's so invested with his time and energy in that club as well. So I think it was just a good fit in terms of how I like to put my time into football and how they run the club. So I think it was just a good fit. I knew the people from being at the collegiates, and then the interview process was, they interviewed me, but I also asked a lot of questions about the club and how they want to progress and all that kind of thing. And I felt that really our values were really closely aligned.
What were some of those values and where they wanted to progress to? What were those that enticed you to make the move?
So I think one of the things is that it's a very ambitious club, but at the same time they're not going to do it in a really fast, irresponsible way. So they are ambitious, but they want to do it the right way and they want to build slowly. So that appeals to me, because I find a lot of clubs want instant reward and instant success and instant growth, which is never sustainable, and it doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't work that way. So that was appealing. Also, just being at the collegiate, I could see how much time and effort and passion the volunteers have and the committee have,
Yep.
and how they're so inclusive to everyone. So that also was a real big factor. And then also speaking to Marcello about his plan and his effort with the juniors and how they want the juniors to grow and succeed and gradually start feeding into the seniors, that was massive appeal as well. So it was really just how they want to grow was very much, in my mind, the right way to do it. I mean, maybe there's no right way or wrong way, but it was the way I would like to do it as well.
Yep. So both your visions align pretty much.
Very much. Yeah.
Well, I've spoken to Marcello on this podcast as well. If you go back and listen to that, he talks about the club as well and his ambitions of what he wants to do. So with he's been there now for the same time as you, roughly.
Yeah, I think he came in maybe 6 months before me.
Yeah. So that's almost 2 years, over 2 years now since he's been there and you've been there as well. What's the vision that you've had and what's actually happened? How's the success gone with? How's that gone with that since then?
Yeah, look, I think all the building blocks are taking place. So in terms of our juniors, we're growing so much in numbers and we're growing in quality, and more teams are, being competitive and moving up to, your A divisions, which is not the everything, but it kind of it gives you little steps that the club is heading in the right way. You get plenty of kids, say from my church community, who say, we're going to come out to Vipers, and then when they do, the parents always say to me, like, it's such a fantastic club. They're so welcoming. My son or my daughter are loving it. They're really growing. They're enjoying their time. So I think making the experience for the kids and the parents and the family to be as good as it can be, as well as improve the kids' ability to play football.
Yep.
It's not only about improving their ability to play football. It's also, their well-being and their enjoyment and loving the sport and loving the club. And I think I've seen a massive improvement in that. So I think we're well on track. And obviously with the seniors, that's we kind of, I think when I came in, I kind of felt that I'd like to be promoted within 2 to 3 years. Now we've achieved that, thankfully, and now it's sort of the next phase of consolidating that senior team, because the reality is, being in State League One as a senior team, it does impact juniors and numbers and how the club is perceived from the outside, rightly or wrongly. That's the landscape of football in SA.
Well, that's it. When you came in, the club had already been promoted to State League One. It got relegated back in the first year. So 2019 got promoted, but only by making the grand final, because Adelaide Hills Hawks at the time, which happens to be the team I was commentating back then when I first started commentating, that's where they made it through that. Which it's a bit disappointing as a football fan to watch.
Yeah.
You just made the grand final and then they lost the grand final, but they still got the promotion, and that's how it works. And I want to talk to you about that a little bit soon as well. But then they came straight back down the next year.
Yeah.
That's when you came in afterwards, after that first year, back in the State League 2. In your first 2 years of coaching, the first year you made the grand final, and different scenario, you had to play to win in the grand final to get that last promotion spot against Adelaide Uni. You couldn't get it done. What was it like in your first year of a senior coach, to get that far, make the grand final, but just come short by not winning in extra time?
Yeah, look, I look back at last season. It was a successful year, even though, you can easily sort of go, well, we didn't get promoted, we didn't win the title, so it's not a successful season. But I think it was successful in the sense that we got a lot of things in place. The squad improved. We took a lot of steps. Obviously, the grand final, naturally we were extremely disappointed because we came so close, and even on the day we probably outplayed Uni on that day. I think, rightly so, they got promoted because they were the better team over the 22 rounds. But, when you go into a grand final and it's 1-1 and you miss chances and all of that, and then you lose on penalties, it hurts, obviously.
Yeah.
So we were disappointed, but on reflection, you kind of think, well, it was a successful year in that it helped us take that next step this season.
Well, you did take the next step this season. You made it all the way through to the grand final. You finished second on that against Robbie Tutoria's Cobras. So, and you smashed them in the two legs in the two-legged semi-finals on aggregate. So you got your one foot in the door, on the doorstep of promotion. But they couldn't get the job done against Western Strikers, which is funnily your old team as well. So many links there between you. So
yeah.
Getting the opportunity to play against Western Strikers in a grand final, what was that like as you, for a personal note, that's your former club, and you pretty much going to knock them out and get them stuck in the State League 2 for another year. Did that matter to you, that personal note, or is it hard to put that aside?
Oh, look, I think leading up to the game, it was just a game we had to win.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter whether it was Strikers or Cobras or anyone else. We just, I'm very much focused on Vipers and what Vipers need to do. But having said that, I think at the final whistle and then, we're so happy, and I can see people that I know who are obviously disappointed, which is what we experienced the year before. That was a little bit hard in the sense that I did feel for them. And again, you could probably argue that this year's grand final, that they probably felt that they should have won. So that would definitely hurt. And so it was kind of, my daughter still plays at Western Strikers, and I do have a lot of respect for that club and some fantastic people there. So definitely I felt for them, but I don't think leading up to or during the game I had any I had any feelings other than Vipers need to win.
Are you going to avoid going to training for a couple of weeks?
Well, funnily enough, Hannah, my daughter's got her presentation this Friday night, so I'll be there for that as a dad. But I think everyone at Strikers is, we have mutual sort of respect and love for each other. There's no hard feelings. They know that I'm doing my job and they're doing their job. And
well, 2022, you won the grand final, but I want to go one step back. The Cup, the Federation Cup, you are only one step away from making it through to the round of 32, which is a huge step for a State League team, let alone a State League 2 team at the time. This year's Federation Cup was unreal. 3 out of the final 4 teams were non-NPL teams, which you rarely see.
Yeah.
We're lucky to see one sometimes. So you were one of those. You came against Modbury Jets, who are a very strong team this year. But what was it like to have that that opportunity and the boys to come through all the way to that final stage and be the last standing State League 2 team?
Yeah, look, I think that cup run really helped us. So a lot of coaches or teams can look at it as, you're getting extra games and is it going to hinder your league run, etc. But we had a very healthy squad this year and very little injuries, very little suspension. So having the cup and a few extra games, you could get games into your squad. It also gave the boys a lot of confidence because, when you say we beat Pirates and we beat Cumberland and we beat Raiders, all those games give the squad a lot of confidence. So I actually think that cup run was really important for giving my squad confidence and keeping everyone happy and competitive. So I think it was the best thing that could have happened. I mean, the Modbury game, I wish we could have, performed a little bit better, but they're an unbelievable team and they, rightly so, they beat us. But it would have been fantastic to go one more step.
Yeah,
it would have been lovely. Yeah.
If only the draw was done a little bit differently and you had Eastern United, because I think that would have been a bit more competitive because Modbury and Adelaide City at that time were unbeatable.
Well, if I'm being honest, I looked at the draw and I thought, I don't want City. And then if we get on the other two, we can... even going into the Modbury game, we felt like we could compete. And as strong as they are, I mean, you concede after 7-8 seconds or whatever it was, we I always say about that game, we kind of killed ourselves before Modbury could kill us.
Yep.
So we didn't give ourselves the best chance, but it is what it is.
Did that game there? It was almost like a grand final because you had to win that to go in the grand final, but that was also you had to win that to get a round of 32 spot in the Australia Cup. Did that better prepare you for the grand final against
Absolutely.
Western Strikers?
I think leading up to the Modbury game, the lead up and the hype and the crowd and the excitement was probably the same as the grand final week.
Yep.
Because obviously not a lot of people expected us to go that far.
Yeah.
And even internal sort of expectations, I don't think reaching the Australia Cup was ever on the radar. So definitely there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of hype. So the players got to go through, that buzz and excitement and anxiety of a big game and playing on a big stage in front of a big crowd. So I think that definitely helped us come grand final. So really, we were well prepared because of a lot of it is to do with that cup run. I think it played a part. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you went down early against Modbury Jets, 7 seconds. Similar scenario in the grand final as well. You were up 1-0, but then you went down 3-1 against Western Strikers. So only 40 minutes left in the game, and you're 3-1 down in the 2022 grand final. Did that mentality of where you were against Modbury Jets, and then you're pretty much done in that cup game, did that help you personally? I know it helped the club, but did it help you as well to just stay strong-minded and try and come up with a way to get back in this game?
Yeah, potentially. I think what the Modbury we had a real belief that we were going to win that grand final. So even though we'd made a few errors, we'd conceded some goals, we went down. I personally think, while at 3-1, most people would think we're done.
Yep.
I think the players still had faith and belief. And that's what I mean about the cup gave us confidence. Our 2 wins against Cobras leading up to the grand final gave us confidence. So there was a lot of belief, and I think the players, a lot of them were there for last year's grand final loss as well. So that helps as well because it's that extra sort of burning desire to not lose again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors. In terms of myself, I think. I mean, what I said to Rami and Jono, my assistants, after is, I don't think potentially we maybe didn't manage that game as well as we could have. It was just, there was a lot going on. Things kept changing. We were down 3-1. So, yeah, but, we got the result and
you did.
We're really happy.
The equaliser came in the final couple of minutes in added time.
Yeah.
So you just snuck one in and it was an own goal. So it was kind of lucky that you guys got that, but you took advantage of that luck and turned it around into your own luck by that incredible goal by Borges Rodriguez. Incredible goal from the corner. And if you listen to the call, Simon Catanzaro and myself, we went absolutely berserk watching that go in.
Yeah.
What was it like for you when you saw? Did it take a while to register that he just scored that from the corner?
Yeah, it did. Well, the equaliser first, I think. Once that goal went in, I was sure we were going to win. So I don't know rightly or wrongly, but we just thought that's it. You can't do all this and not win. And I think the players had that feeling as well. And then the corner, that was bizarre. Because I could see it and I'm thinking this could go in here, but it's almost like you couldn't believe it. So I think on the bench, we all just had our hands on our heads like, did that really just happen? So it was... Yeah, pretty surreal.
I think the commentary with that, the professionalism kind of went out of the door for a moment there because Simon Catanzaro was going absolutely berserk. Obviously, a teammate of yours as well, former teammate. So it was great to watch as a neutral that whole game, especially with Daniel Blanco as well and yourself. Great future, big coaches there with big futures ahead, we reckon. And just watching the two of you, the way you coached that game was awesome to watch. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way, but for your club, was an incredible finish. What was the celebrations like afterwards with the boys, because we saw Adelaide City, they partied for 3 days. West Adelaide, I think, partied for ages as well.
Yeah.
So what was it like on your end as a State League 2 team to finally get back into State League 1?
Yeah, just
the right way.
Going back to Daniel Blanco, he was really good after the game. He came and said congratulations, and obviously that wouldn't be easy. And I think he's been a superb coach this year. He's actually, they're probably the team that plays the best soccer that we came up against. So I've got full praise for him and how he coaches his team.
And only his first year as senior coach.
Yes,
as well,
which is not easy, and it's not easy being in State League 2 for the first time. We experienced that, or I experienced that last year. It's a little bit of a different league. It has its own challenges. So definitely full credit to him and to strikers. I think it's unfortunate they couldn't go up.
Yeah.
But that's
next year. I think
sometime.
is their year. I reckon.
Yeah. But in terms of the celebrations, look, I said this to a few people. I think the feeling at the final whistle is just unbelievable. Like that, I've never had that feeling before. Like it was,
Well, you could have if it wasn't for Robbie Detroit back in Campbelltown.
maybe
you don't know, but
yeah. So I think even Mark Talbot was on the at the ground and wanted to interview me straight after the game, and I never wanted to. Look, I'm always all for these things. The more coverage, the better for the club and for football in general. But I just said to him, you have to forgive me. I actually can't talk. So I couldn't get any words out. So I said, just let me go. So, so it really was a remarkable feeling.
Yeah. Well, he did speak to Rami, and that was that was great to speak to him and hear his passion for it, because even that was like the way he was answering the questions. You could see he was just as excited.
Well, Rami and Jono, like my two assistants, they're as invested, if not more, than me. Like they're there for everything. They do everything. They're involved in everything. Their time and effort is remarkable. So, I'm sure Rami would have been just as excited as me, but maybe he could speak, whereas I couldn't. Yeah, but they loved it and they deserve their reward, absolutely.
The next day, I heard that you didn't continue the celebrations. You ended up at a juniors game coaching. Yeah,
so Nick Gallinopoulos, who's sort of one of the directors of the juniors with Marcello, he just said to me that our under-12s don't quite have a team, don't quite have a coach just that Sunday. My nephew's in that team. And it's a good team. I always like to watch them and whatever. So initially when Gala asked me during the week, I said, you know what, it's probably not the best timing because, I don't know how happy or unhappy I'm going to be. But he goes, it's at 12 o'clock, you should be okay. So I agreed. I was happy and I love, like if I had the time to do both, I love coaching the juniors as well. But it was, it just happened that it was the next day. There wasn't.
Was it under 12s, was it? Or
it was the under 12s.
Yeah, under 12s.
Yeah.
How would they have felt having a championship winning coach for the day?
Oh, they were excited, but a lot of those kids were at the grand final, so they were there, and they're a really good group, and it was nice.
Now the club's in a great spot now for next year, 2023, State League 1. You've made it there by earning it this time. What do you think with the structures of the State League 2? You've went the hard way last year. Prior to you being there, you saw what the club went through, and they made it through to State League 1, but they only made it because the top team was in the grand final and they just made a place in it. So with that structure that we currently have, do you think that works and should be something that we stick with for the future, or should we go down a different path?
I kind of think that if you... Like, I'm one of those football people who likes, the top two get promoted, finish, the top team is the champions, and it's all over. But I do understand, like, if you use our league this year as an example, if the system was just two teams up, probably the last 6-7 games would have had no bearing at all for about 7 or 8 of the teams in the league. So you'd get a lot of dead games, and probably the same in State League 1. So my personal preference is if you finish first, you're the champions and you're promoted. and then have some sort of playoff system between 2nd and 5th or 2nd and 6th, whatever it is, and call it a playoffs. Don't call it finals. Don't give a trophy. It's a playoff, and I think that will have just as much crowd and excitement because it's about promotion. But then the champions are the team that, because while, you know, I was thrilled that we beat Cobras and all of that, like, in a way, I wouldn't blame Cobras if potentially they switched off even 1%, because their objective going into the season was promotion, which they achieved. Now, when we played them, yes, they want to win, but is it the same level of, you know, intensity and desire? We'll never really know. But going by the last few years, I mean, Modbury finished top. They didn't perform in finals. Cobras finished top. They didn't perform in finals.
Same last year.
Previous years. So it seems to happen a lot, and I think it's no coincidence. Like, I love that we're the champions this year, and I'm going to claim it and stick to it. But in a perfect world, I think you finish top, you've earned it, you've got the most points, you've been the best team over a long period of time. You should be the champions. And then have a playoff system where you still generate that excitement and finals-like feeling, but it's playoffs, not finals. That's my personal preference.
I think that's a preference of a lot of people that watch the games, because the excitement on that day for both games, the State League 2 was prior, before the State League 1 grand final, which had West Adelaide and Parry Hills both playing for a promotion spot. It was totally different to if we had seen Modbury make the grand final or Cobras. Because obviously you're just playing for a cup at the end of the day if those teams were still there.
And we went along to watch Cobras and Strikers, and, you know, we were hoping Cobras win, because then we achieved promotion, you know, a week early, and then the grand final probably, we still would have really wanted to win it and gone our hardest, but at least the pressure of promotion would have been relieved. So I do think having a final or a last game that has promotion riding on it, definitely for the neutrals, it's the best way to go.
And it definitely produced, that's for sure. Because if you guys would have, if it wasn't that grand final, if you'd already been given the promotion spot, do you think your team would have had that desire to? I know you might say the easy answer is say yes, but do you think they would have fought back at 3-1 down, still as hard as what they did?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know, because it is hard to know. But I also think it could have been a different game in the sense that it wouldn't have had as much pressure. So sometimes teams perform better when they're a little bit relaxed. So the answer is I don't know, but and we'll never know. But it definitely would have had a different feeling of a grand final.
Next year again, State League 1, different. There's different regulations for home clubs and stuff like that with their home grounds. What is the next step for the for Vipers now? St Clair is your home. Are the club looking to update it so they can play home games there, or are they looking elsewhere? I know you play some games there.
No, absolutely. Apex. So that's in the pipeline now, and the plan is that 2023 there'll be upgrades happening so that we can play home matches at St Clair. But like a lot of clubs, we're going to have to find a temporary home for next season. While those upgrades take place. So, but you know, from Vipers' perspective, we love playing at St Clair. We want to have a home base. Obviously, it needs to improve, and that's in the pipeline now with local government and council, etc. So.
Is Apex looking to be the next home? The home of Adelaide Olympic and also Adelaide Uni play there as well?
Look, I don't know exactly, but I imagine it's definitely one of the options. Like having, only been decided 2 days ago that we are State League 1. I'm not aware exactly where we're going to be, but I know, I got full faith that Adrian and the club and the powers that be, they'll organise something really good.
As a coach, would you prefer grass or artificial pitch?
It's a good question because none of the players like synthetic. To be fair, St Clair's surface is not fantastic. As a coach, I think we've always performed well on synthetic or on good grass. But good grass is very hard to find in the middle of winter. So as a coach, I'll probably say my preference is synthetic, even though I think most of my players would disagree. So
Yeah.
I mean, they like playing on synthetic, but it takes a bit more out of the body and it's a bit harder. So it's probably I think it provides for a good surface to play good football. But maybe it's a little bit harder on the body.
Yeah, and depending on where you play as well, because I know Carina Reserve, their synthetic pitch is one of the best in the state.
I think the newer ones are a bit nicer to play on, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
The near future obviously is at Vipers FC for yourself, but what are your ambitions as a coach? Do you want to get go for a full-time gig as a coach or an assistant coach in the A-League, or there's the talk of the National Second Division coming as well? Is that your ambitions to get that next step?
Yeah, look, I have this conversation with friends and whatever. Like, I think for myself that the chances of football becoming full time are extremely slim. Like they're close to nothing. But at the same time, I'm motivated to give myself every chance. So I'm going to go through the process, do the best I can, grow as much as I can.
Yep.
Do whatever licensing I need to do, learn as much as I can, give myself the opportunity. If that opportunity comes, well, hopefully I'm as prepared as I can be. And if it doesn't, well, I'm doing something I absolutely love. So it's kind of, it's a win-win. So that's kind of, I would love to be full-time football. I can tell you now I enjoy football a lot more than I enjoy my day job as a pharmacist.
Yep.
But I know that it's not easy and there's not many opportunities. So that's something that, it's more a dream, you could say, than a goal. But having said that, I'm going to do my bit to be prepared. And if it comes along, it comes along. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But But in terms of right now, and I think I'm in the best position I can be in terms of at a club that gives me full control, full reign. I can do what I want, obviously within a budget like everyone else, but with really supportive people. The committee's fantastic. Having Karuska there as a TD, as a mentor, as a friend, he's like, other than his football, resume, if you like, he's just a really lovely guy that we get along really well, and I consider him a friend and a mentor now. So it's really good having him there.
Well, after you won the grand final, I'm pretty sure he jumped the fence and to come and celebrate with you guys, which is a great sign of how much that club means to him as well.
No, it's hard to sort of put it like, I mean, the guy's played Champions League, but then the amount of time and effort he puts into, Vipers, juniors and seniors and all that is remarkable. So we're really lucky to have him, and he's a really fantastic person to have.
He's just started his own career as a head coach of the CBC College, so Christian Brothers College. So that's his first senior coaching role.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a room for him in the future, maybe to be a part of your assistants alongside Jono and Rami as well at some point? Was that being thought about or talked about?
It's never been spoken about. With Marcello, my relationship with him at the club as it stands is I kind of like to keep him aware of everything we're doing. So this is what we're doing at training. This is why. These are some of the videos I'm going to show the players. This is what we struggled with. What do you think? So he's kind of involved anyway, and he'll offer his view when I ask for it, which is quite regular. Which is really good. I think he's more sort of focused in the junior side and the academy and that. But I mean the more time he has to help us with seniors, I definitely wouldn't say no. But I'm not sure that it's on the cards. But right now he's just a good support. And
he's such a great guy as well. Chatting to him before the grand final, and he was just he was a lovely bloke and loves talking about football and just loves
he's fantastic. He's extremely humble. He works hard. He's wants to grow, wants everyone to learn and grow. So he's good. Yeah, really good.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed chatting to you about this. I could talk about the grand final for so long. Actually, I want to get one more thing from you from the grand final. What was your favourite moment of the grand final.
Yeah.
That you just that stands out for you because it's a big day for everyone, and it was 120 minutes of football. And the clubs always, every time they played the grand final, Vipers, they've always played 120 minimum. And then the last two occasions they had penalties, not the last two, just the last one had penalties.
Yeah.
So what was the bit that stood out for you the most, and you will always remember and cherish?
Oh, it's probably a couple. So the first one is our third goal, the equaliser. Because the crowd is right behind my bench,
Yep.
I think that was, like, the noise was crazy. We were losing it on the bench. So that moment was special because it was like the 93rd minute or whatever it was. So, it was really late. So that was really special. And then obviously the final whistle, again, the crowd went mental and they were right behind us. And then obviously everyone's reaction on the bench, etc. So they're probably the two moments that stick out. Yeah,
that support was incredible from your Vipers fans, but they're also from your community as well. So the Egyptian Orthodox Church. So why are they so supportive of you and the club? Like, I understand you guys go to the same church and all that, but what kind of brought that link into the football area as well?
So the Coptic or Egyptian Orthodox community is kind of a small one in Adelaide. So if you go Melbourne, Sydney, they might have 10, 12, 15 churches, whereas Adelaide only has one and recently a second one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's like everyone knows everyone and all the families grew up together. Yeah. So all my closest friends are Egyptian and from the church and my parents who they associate with.
Yeah.
And now my kids are sort of, with kids of that church as well. So it's a really close-knit community. And then obviously we got two players in our squad who are from that community. So all their friends and all their families and all their, cousins and whatever are there as well. So because it's so close-knit, so many people come. But having said that, I was blown away by how many of them came and how loud and passionate they were. So, yeah, very, very grateful for that so many of them were there to support.
It was incredible hearing them because them being so loud also forced Western Strikers to start chanting as well, which was cool because you don't see that often, that both teams in any of the National Premier League or State League teams, finals or games, are chanting that loud that you can actually... I couldn't even concentrate as I was commentating at some points because it was so bloody loud. It was great.
Yeah, well, Egyptians in general are loud and they love football and they're passionate, so... they don't mind making a bit of noise, and probably my dad is probably the loudest person in football, and my wife should probably be bitter about that. She thinks she's the loudest. So I could name another 10 others in our they're a loud sort of. It's a loud culture, passionate culture, and football brings that out. So
absolutely enjoyed it, mate. But before I let you go, do the kicking the questions. You're probably across these now because you listened to the Kata interview. So, who would you love to kick it with on the football park? Anyone in the world?
Yeah, so I actually thought about this before I came. So I've got two, if that's all right. So one is
go for it.
One is Mo Salah because he's Egyptian, obviously, and so much that what he's achieved and everything. And the other one's Ronaldinho. I think I found that he was the best player to watch, like from an entertainment perspective. He was just, unbelievable. So they're probably the two that,
If you had to choose one, could you split it? No, you can't.
Well, maybe Ronaldinho then.
Well, they're both great choices as well. And then the other one, which you can make two, but I'm assuming you might make four now because you like doubling it. But who would you love to kick it with on a Saturday night and watch some football with? Two people, someone locally and someone international.
Yeah, so internationally, probably like somebody I admire in a coaching sense. So maybe like someone like Klopp. I love sort of how he goes about it. So obviously that would be a real thrill to sit and watch a game with him. In terms of locally, look, again, it's a hard one. Probably some of the ex-players that you played with and or against. So, look, I think the players that I thought were the best when I was playing is probably someone like Nathan Day, Corey Artone. They were just freaks in terms of what they could do, and I think it'd be good to yeah, potentially sit with them and catch up. Yeah.
That'll be a great chat, I reckon. We can love to tap into that and hear what the stories that you guys share from back in the day. But what about the your current assistant coaches, Rami and Jono? After the big weekend you guys had, I'm sure that will be fun to hang around.
No, they're a lot of fun. Rami's the life of the party. He's full on, so he's definitely. I enjoy my time with Rami and Jono. Jono's maybe not as loud as Rami, but they're awesome. So,
and I've got to give a big shout out to Jono as well, because he was pushing me to interview you because he loves the way you coach, and he's a big admirer of your coaching style as well. So,
look, they're both really good support, and they're like, I can't sort of praise them enough for the role, because it's easy for the coach to get all the praise, but really it's very much a coaching team. Like Rami and Jono have been, there's no way we could have achieved anything without those two. So they've been awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining me, Majed. I really appreciate the chat, and especially getting you after a very positive end to your season with State League 1 promotion now actually happening for your club. So congratulations once again on that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everything you do for the game and all the coverage you provide. It's fantastic. Thank you.
No, thank you, and thank you for providing a great spectacle as well for me to call as well, which is one of the highlights of my career so far.
No worries. Thank you.
That was the head coach of Vipers FC, Majed Ibrahim. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon.